What's up, YouTube? This is DBZ439 coming at you with an updated Infernoid deck profile. This time, it has a lot of upgrades thanks to the new set Bosch, and I feel like this is a really good dark horse deck in the meta because has a very good Monarch matchup. And I'd say the hardest matchup is Cosmos, but as you can see, I have some pretty good sides against that. So without any further ado, let's dig right into it. Now, before I start, here's some general things about Infernoids. First, they have something called the level cap, where it means you can't special summon any Infernoids if the total levels and ranks of all effect monsters you control are above 8. So as long as you have 8 or below, you can special summon them. Now, anything 5 and higher, level 5 and higher, you can special summon them from the grave or hand. And between levels 5 and 8, they require 2 banishes, either from hand or grave, and levels like above 9, and this is like, for example, Noku's 10, they require 3 banishes, and they have their own effects. Like, for example, when Anoku's a special summon, she's basically a dark hole, and also once per turn during either player's turn, you can tribute one monster on your side of the field, and you can negate and banish that spell or trap. So that comes in handy. Like, you can banish like Cosmo Town, it won't get effect because it doesn't hit grave. So Anoku's really good. That's the first Infernoid, and it's like the biggest beater. Next up, we have double Deviati. Deviati is basically like a heavy storm when she's special summoned, and when that happens, it's really good against like pendulum decks. That's why I run 2 of her and not 2 of Anoku. You only want to run double Anoku if you run like Void Imagination. You want to go into Tierra. But Deviati at 2 I feel is really solid because you want to see her as frequent as possible because back row heavy decks are important, and her monster negation effect is so good. Like against Cosmos, when they want ships to float, you can negate their ship's effect in grave, and they can't float and basically stop their play. And yeah, so 2 Deviati. Next up, you have triple Atondo. Atondo, his effect is if he destroys a monster by battle, he can attack twice. But the problem is, it doesn't work against pendulum decks because the monster that he attacks has to be sent to grave. So that's why some people mostly like to run it at 2, but I just like it at 3, just because he can be special summoned from grave. And his other effect is during either player's turn, you contribute a monster and banish 1 card in grave. So that's really helpful against decks that really depend on graveyard advantage. Next up, we have triple Sistemus. This card's really good. Allows you to go to rank 7 plays. And if he attacks a monster at the end of the battle phase, you can banish 1 card on the field. And keep in mind that banish does not target. So if if you can somehow like attack a Cosmo Wicked Witch end phase, you can banish their Dark Destroyer for free. Like it doesn't flow and it doesn't target. So this is really good. And just like a Tondel, during either player's turn, you can sack a monster and banish 1 card and punish grave. So that's really helpful against decks that again rely on grave. Next up, onto the smaller Infernoids, and when I mean smaller Infernoids, that means levels from 4 to 1, and they only require 1 banish, right? And for them, for all the level 4 and 1s, 4 to 1, they can be sacked only during your opponent's turn to banish a card on field, and they can sack any card that you control. So it's really helpful. So Petrulio is basically like MST. It pops back row, but if he does that, he can't attack that turn. That's really good. And he's also level 4, allows you to go into Omega. Next up, triple Harmonic. Personally, my favorite. He pops a monster on field, and it does target, but the target can be face down, so that's really helpful. And he's a level 3. Again, he helps you go into like rank 4 in synchro plays because you send him with Dectron. And again, you need him at 3 in my opinion. Next up, we only run the double Atondo. Antra. Antra is the level 2, and he bounces 1 face-up card on field. And it's really good against like BAs, stuff that sinks a lot. So it targets, but it bounces. So like pop Dante, they can't recycle like Seer and Grave. That's really good. And it can also like bounce like Floodgates. Like, for example, it can bounce like Domain if you play against Monarch. So that's really nice. And last of like the Infernos that require banishing is Infernoid Primace. I'm seeing a lot of deck profiles that don't have this card, but it's just the versatility, right? Like level 1 Infernoid helps you with Dectron, And the thing that I like about him the most is you can't respond to his effect. So basically, he can spin a face down card on field, which is really really nice because like it's kind of like a Petrulia or like another like Harmadic, but they can't respond and it like spins to deck, so they go -1. So it's really nice. Okay, and then last Infernoid is Decatron, and this is the card that basically makes the deck because it's a tuner, and it's a foolish burial, and it gets the effect of whatever you send. So like it's really really good, and this is the card like you want to see like when you're reasoning, right? Because it opens up so many plays, allows you to toolbox, and just like make whatever play you need at the time. Okay, that's it for the Infernoids. So I'm gonna move on to the Lightsword engine. We have double Raiden and one Lumina. Most people like to play triple Raiden, but I like the one Lumina because like when they call reasoning, they usually expect this or Decatron. So they'll call one or four. And if you get to call this, then it's you can just bring this back. So this is essentially another Raiden provided this is engraved. Also, like her pitch effect is good for Infernoids because if it's engraved, then you have graveyard advantage. And also, by having her, I can actually run Michael in my extra deck, so it's very important to run Lumina if you want Michael. Now that's it for the monsters. Onto the spells. We have the obvious triple reasoning. It's the card that basically fills your grave, and then you run the one monster gain, obviously for the fourth reasoning. Next up, we have for more mill power, we have double Charge the Light Brigade. Charge the Light Brigade basically searches your Lightsworn monsters, so that's really good. Next up, we have double Instant Fusion. This card basically allows me to go into instant Norden, which leads me to go into like rank 4 plays, or goes lets me to go into like Omega, so that's really helpful. Next up, we have double Twin Twister. I like two. Some people like three, and I actually can't argue with that. This card is like so free in Infernoid because you pitch in Infernoid that you're not minusing, right? This is basically a +2, or yeah, in Infernoid, so it's a great card. Next up, we have double Void Seer. Basically, the Forbidden Lance for Infernoids. Really like this card, and the thing about this card is if you mill it, that's fine because you can protect any of your Infernoid monsters by banishing it from card effects. So if something like if your opponent Dark Holes or Regekis, they usually don't remember that you have Seer Grave, so you just banish it and protect one of your Infernoid monsters. So that's really nice. And for the one-ofs, we have one Regeki, one Barrio, and one for one. Pretty standard. And for traps, we only run one, and it's Solemn Scolding. This card is basically solemn, like the playable version of Solemn Judgment. So Scolding is really good just in general. So I like Scolding. Okay, let's quickly get onto the side deck. We have one Chimeritic Fortress with the double Cyber Dragon for the Cosmo matchup or any other rogue machine decks. We also have End of Anubis for like BAs, Even Tellers, one Spell Canceller against Pendulums, and one Chaos Hunter against decks that banish, so it's good in the mirror match. For the spells, we have double Dark Hole. Just good against decks that like to build a beefy field turn one like heroes. Double MST for Pendulum Hate. You have the double mistake because you don't search a lot. And last of we have the triple World Decree for decks that use heavy back row. Alright guys, that's the side deck. Onto the extra deck. We have for the rank 7s, one Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, one Big Eye, one Gem Knight Pearl, and then we have S Light number S39 Utopia the Lightning, and you have to run the Utopia to make him. So really good against Cosmos. That's why I like that card. One Castel and one Dweller. That's it for my Exe monsters. Onto the Synchro monsters. One Omega. This card is so good in Infernoids. I can't even begin to tell you how many games like this guy wins. He has like 3 effects in one. He refills grave. He can recycle himself, and he just disrupts your opponent's like tempo. It's a great card. Other Synchro monsters: one Michael, one Black Rose, one Meteor Burst, one Gaia Knight, and one Armades. The Gaia Knight's here because it's a non-effect Synchro monster, which doesn't apply to the level count, so it's really nice. And to round off the extra deck, we have double Norden for the double instant fusion. Alright guys, so that's it for my deck profile. I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. Please leave a thumbs up if you do. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. I'd love to hear your opinions on the deck. And again, please subscribe. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, so I'd really appreciate if you can help us get there. And thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day.